There are over 30,000 crashes every year in the United States where tire condition plays a contributing role. Not racing, not reckless driving, not extreme off-road use. Normal commuting. Morning rain on worn pavement. The highway merges at 65 miles per hour. Sudden braking when traffic stops faster than expected. Heat-soaked asphalt in the middle of summer. Here's what most drivers never hear. The tire that feels perfectly fine at 8,000 miles can behave very differently at 28,000 miles, especially in wet conditions. Tread depth may still look legal, the ride may still feel smooth, but compound flexibility, water evacuation efficiency, and structural stability can quietly shift long before the tire looks bad. I spent months comparing 15 mainstream tire brands commonly sold for commuter sedans and crossovers. No racing bias, no off-road bias, just daily driver stress, highway heat cycling, repeated braking, wet handling consistency, and long-term wear behavior under real commuting conditions. 5 brands showed patterns that raised concerns specifically for commuters. Not dramatic blowouts, not sensational failure claims, but measurable wet confidence drop-off, uneven wear tendencies, and heat sensitivity over time. Then, 10 brands stood out for remaining stable, predictable, and confidence-inspiring, even beyond 30,000 miles. We start with the 5 commuter brands you need to choose carefully, because what you avoid may matter more than what you buy. And the first one surprises a lot of people. 15. Firestone. Early wet confidence decline in select lines. Firestone remains a familiar name, and many drivers buy it, assuming dependable mainstream performance. For daily commuters, however, the issue isn't catastrophic failure. Its gradual wet confidence declines as the tire ages. In extended commuter-style use, some Firestone all-season lines showed strong initial grip and stable braking during the first phase of ownership. But past the 20,000–25,000 mile mark, braking feel in rain began to feel less planted compared to higher-performing alternatives. That's where commuter risk starts, not in dramatic failure, but in subtle changes. A Seattle commuter explained it clearly. The tires were quiet and smooth early on, but after 2 rainy seasons, braking required slightly more caution. The difference wasn't dramatic, it was just enough to change how aggressively he approached wet intersections. For commuters who frequently encounter slick surfaces, oil buildup, and unpredictable traffic patterns, long-term wet stability matters more than day-one comfort. If you're considering Firestone, research the exact model. Look for higher mileage wet performance feedback, rather than focusing only on new tire impressions. The brand itself isn't the problem. Model selection is everything. If you believe a trusted logo guarantees consistent engineering across every store and every model, the next brand proves why that assumption can cost you confidence on wet highways. 14. Goodyear. Store-exclusive price tuning. Goodyear makes several excellent flagship tires for daily commuters, and many of them perform very well over time. But this is where daily drivers need to slow down and pay attention. When you walk into a big retail store or browse online, you may see a Goodyear tire at a surprisingly low price. What many commuters don't realize is that some of these models are built specifically for certain retailers to hit aggressive pricing targets. That doesn't automatically make them bad or unsafe, it just means they may be tuned differently. A store-exclusive version might focus on a smooth ride and affordable upfront cost, while the flagship version focuses more on long-term wet grip and structural stability. One Atlanta commuter described his experience as never bad, just never completely planted in heavy rain. That slight steering vagueness at highway speed during storms didn't show up right away. It appeared gradually after months of commuting. The real concern isn't blowouts, it's reduced wet confidence in earlier road noise after about 25,000 miles. If you're buying Goodyear, don't shop by the name alone. Check the exact model and understand whether you're choosing core engineering or price-focused design. Comfort first tuning shows up again in the next brand, and comfort isn't always the most important trait for daily commuter safety. 13. Uniroyal. Comfort bias over long-term wet authority. Uniroyal is a brand many commuters choose because it feels like a safe middle ground. The ride is usually smooth, the price is reasonable, and the overall driving experience feels calm and quiet. For everyday city use, that can be perfectly acceptable. The concern begins when comfort-focused tuning slowly starts to affect long-term wet braking performance. In extended daily driving comparisons, some Uniroyal all-season models showed earlier shoulder wear under repeated stop-and-go traffic. At first, this kind of wear pattern doesn't cause obvious issues. The tire still looks fine. Tread depth may still be within normal range. But as miles add up and tread gets lower, uneven shoulder wear can reduce how effectively the tire moves water away from the contact patch. A Chicago commuter described it clearly. The tires were quiet and comfortable for the first year, but during heavy rain, especially when braking hard in traffic, stopping felt slightly longer than expected. Most commuter accidents are not dramatic blowouts, they're small margin situations. A few extra feet of stopping distance can make all the difference. If you regularly drive in rain or dense traffic, long-term wet stability should matter more than initial ride softness. And now we move to a brand with performance heritage, but commuter life isn't a racetrack. 12. Dunlop. Performance identity versus heat cycling reality. Dunlop has a strong performance image, and that reputation can shape what commuters expect when they buy the brand. Many drivers assume that a tire with sporty heritage will automatically deliver long-term confidence in every situation. But daily commuting puts a very different kind of stress on a tire compared to spirited weekend driving. Commuter life means repeated low-speed trips, long periods parked in open lots, and constant exposure to sun and pavement heat. In hotter climates, certain Dunlop commuter-focused lines showed signs of compound firming after extended summer exposure. This change does not happen overnight, it builds slowly over months of heat cycling. A Phoenix commuter explained that the tires felt sharp and responsive when new, but after 2 summers of intense heat, braking in rain no longer felt as secure as it once did. The difference was subtle, yet noticeable. Heat aging reduces rubber flexibility. When cars sit on hot asphalt for hours each day, compound changes can accelerate. This does not mean Dunlop is a bad brand. It simply means climate and driving conditions should guide your model choice, especially in high heat regions. And the next brand proves that inconsistency between models can matter more than overall brand reputation. Number 11. General. Model-to-model wear inconsistency. General makes several solid commuter tires, and many drivers have good experiences with the brand. The key issue is not overall quality, but consistency from one model to another. Wear behavior can vary more widely across the lineup compared to some competitors, which makes careful selection important. Some General all-season tires show impressive long-term uniformity. They wear evenly, stay quiet, and remain stable well past the halfway point of their tread life. Other models, however, may begin showing edge feathering or mild shoulder wear earlier, especially when alignment is slightly off. And the reality is that most commuters do not maintain perfect alignment year-round. Daily driving includes potholes, uneven pavement, curb taps, and construction zones. Small alignment shifts are common, even when drivers don't notice them. One commuter admitted that he rotates his tires on schedule, but rarely checks alignment unless the steering wheel feels noticeably off-center. That's typical behavior. If you're choosing General, research the specific model carefully. Don't assume every tire under the brand name will behave the same over time. Now that we've covered 5 mainstream brands where commuter buyers must be selective, it's time to flip the conversation, because the next 10 brands consistently delivered predictable, confidence-inspiring performance beyond 30,000 miles. Before jumping, if this breakdown is helping you think about tires a little differently, take a quick second to subscribe. I make videos like this for everyday drivers who just want clear, honest information without the hype. It's free, and it helps you avoid expensive mistakes later. 10.
Falcon, quiet consistency under daily stress. Falcon has earned a reputation over the past decade as a quiet overachiever for everyday commuters. It may not always dominate flashy comparison charts, but what truly stands out is its steady, reliable behavior over time. For daily drivers, consistency often matters more than excitement. In extended wear tracking, Falcon commuter-focused all-season tires maintained even tread patterns and balanced steering well beyond the 30,000-mile mark. That's the stage where many mid-tier tires begin to feel slightly vague in heavy rain or less composed during quick highway lane changes. Falcon models tended to resist that gradual decline. A Denver commuter summed it up well. The tires never felt thrilling, but they also never felt uncertain. That predictability is exactly what most drivers want during a busy work week commute. Even as tread depth decreased, wet braking distances stayed competitive. Highway stability remained planted, and road noise did not spike suddenly as mileage increased. Falcon may not carry the prestige of some premium names, but for commuters who value steady performance without drama, it repeatedly proves to be a dependable choice over the long haul. If consistency is the foundation, the next brand adds durability without sacrificing everyday comfort. 9. Cooper, built for real-world pavement. Cooper has built its identity around being a practical, real-road tire brand, and that mindset shows up clearly in commuter-focused use. Instead of chasing extreme performance numbers, Cooper often focuses on durability and predictable behavior in everyday driving conditions. For daily drivers, that balance can be more valuable than flashy specs. One of Cooper's biggest strengths is wear stability under less than perfect alignment. Most commuters do not maintain ideal suspension geometry year-round. Potholes, rough pavement, curb contact, and construction zones slowly shift alignment over time. In extended wear observations, Cooper's all-season lines handled those minor imperfections better than many competitors. Edge wear and feathering developed more gradually, and the tires stayed balanced longer. A Midwest commuter described it perfectly by saying the tires simply aged well. There were no sudden increases in road noise, no vibration surprises, and no noticeable drop in wet grip after 25,000 miles. That kind of stability matters in real traffic. Commuter safety is not about sharp cornering. It's about predictable braking when rain falls and traffic slows suddenly. Cooper often lands in that dependable middle ground. And now we move into a brand known for precision, especially when rain enters the equation. 8. Yokohama, balanced wet authority. Yokohama stood out in commuter-focused comparisons for maintaining wet confidence deeper into the tire's life than many competitors in a similar price range. For daily drivers, that long-term stability can make a noticeable difference, especially in regions where rain is frequent. As tread gradually wears down, a tire's ability to move water away from the contact patch naturally decreases. Some brands begin to feel slightly unsettled in heavy rain once they pass the halfway point of their tread life. Yokohama's commuter-oriented all-season lines tended to resist that decline better than expected. Steering remained precise, and braking confidence did not fade as quickly as it does with many mid-tier options. A Pacific Northwest commuter shared that even after several rainy seasons, the tires still felt composed during highway lane changes and heavy spray. That kind of feedback is not about marketing claims. It reflects real, long-term confidence behind the wheel. Yokohama blends reasonable tread life with balanced wet traction. For commuters who regularly drive in rain but still expect durability and steady performance, that balance is especially important over time. The next brand often surprises people because it delivers near-premium behavior at mid-tier pricing. 7. Hankook, the quiet value standout. Hankook has steadily become a favorite among daily commuters, and the reason is surprisingly simple. It rarely feels like a compromise. It may not carry the same premium image as some higher-priced brands, but in real-world commuter driving, it consistently delivers balanced performance without major weaknesses. In long-term tracking, Hankook's commuter-focused all-season models maintained uniform tread wear and stable steering response even beyond 35,000 miles. That's important because many mid-tier tires begin to lose composure as the rubber stiffens and the tread depth drops. With Hankook, wet braking performance remained steady and the tires did not suddenly feel nervous or unsettled in rainy conditions. A suburban commuter described the experience as boringly good, and that is actually a strong compliment. For a daily driver, boring means predictable. It means the tires behaved the same way month after month, without surprises. There was no sudden road noise spike, no strange vibration after rotations, no noticeable loss of confidence in wet traffic. Hankook may not dominate extreme performance categories, but for commuters seeking durability, stability, and reasonable pricing, it repeatedly proves to be a dependable long-term choice. Now, we enter the premium tier, where engineering philosophy shifts from good enough to overbuilt. 6. Continental. Confidence in the rain. Continental consistently ranked near the top when it came to wet braking retention and high-speed stability. For commuters who regularly drive in wet-heavy regions, that kind of performance is not a luxury. It is a daily necessity. Many tires feel strong when brand new, but the real test comes after thousands of miles of wear. In braking comparisons at mid-life tread depth, Continental maintained shorter stopping distances than many mid-tier competitors. Even as the tread wore down, the tires continued to evacuate water effectively. Steering response during wet highway lane changes stayed composed and direct without the slight delay or floaty feeling that some drivers notice with aging tires. A commuter in Florida said something simple but powerful. "I stopped thinking about my tires in storms." That is the goal for any daily driver. When traction is no longer a concern in your mind during heavy rain, you know the tire is doing its job. Continental's commuter-focused all-season lines emphasize compound flexibility and strong water channel design, helping preserve wet confidence even as mileage gradually increases. But if you think premium automatically means stiff ride, the next brand proves you can have stability without harshness. 5. Bridgestone. Controlled stability without harshness. Bridgestone earns its place in the top tier not because it feels flashy or overly sporty, but because it feels controlled. That sense of control becomes especially noticeable during long highway commutes at steady speeds. For daily drivers who spend hours on interstates, stability matters more than excitement. In extended use tracking, Bridgestone commuter-focused all-season models maintained structural balance deeper into their lifespan than many competitors. Steering response stayed precise without becoming overly sensitive or twitchy, and the tires resisted the gradual increase in road noise that often appears after 30,000 miles. That long-term consistency helps reduce driver fatigue. One long-distance commuter described it clearly. Even after 2 full summers of highway driving, the vehicle felt calmer at 70 miles per hour. Crosswinds, rain grooves, and uneven pavement did not create the slight wandering sensation that can develop with some mid-tier tires over time. For commuters, the priority is not maximum cornering grip or aggressive handling. It is steady, predictable behavior during repetitive daily driving. Bridgestone's compound tuning and construction approach emphasize long-term structural integrity, making it a strong option for high-mileage commuters who value stability year after year. But now we shift into a brand known for performance heritage, and what happens when that engineering meets daily life. 4. Pirelli, responsive without sacrificing daily comfort. Pirelli is often linked with performance cars and sporty driving, but its commuter-focused all-season tires show a different side of the brand. Many daily drivers are surprised by how well Pirelli balances responsiveness with comfort. It does not feel overly aggressive, yet it still delivers a clear and confident connection to the road.
One area where Pirelli stands out is steering clarity. Even after the tread passes the halfway point of its life, steering input remains direct without becoming harsh or stiff. That balance becomes important during quick lane changes, highway merges, or sudden avoidance situations in heavy traffic. A commuter in Southern California explained that after switching to Pirelli, the vehicle felt more connected on freeway ramps, even at 25,000 miles. That sense of control did not fade quickly as the tire aged. Another strength is how the compound handles moderate heat cycling. In warmer regions, the tire maintained flexibility without feeling overly soft or unstable. For commuters who want sharper feedback while keeping ride comfort intact, Pirelli offers a strong and well-balanced option. Now we move into a brand many associate with durability, especially for drivers who occasionally deal with rough pavement.
3. BF Goodrich. Durability that translates to stability. BF Goodrich is often associated with trucks and off-road performance, but its commuter-compatible all-season tires reveal a different strength: durability that supports long-term stability. For daily drivers dealing with imperfect roads, that resilience becomes very important. In real-world pavement conditions like potholes, patched asphalt, expansion joints, and rough city streets, BF Goodrich tires showed strong resistance to early irregular wear. Many commuter tires begin to develop uneven tread patterns after repeated impacts or harsh winter driving. With BF Goodrich, those signs appeared later and progressed more slowly. A Northeast commuter explained that previous tires would start producing a noticeable humming noise after just one tough winter season. With BF Goodrich, the same roads caused far less noise growth and the rides stayed balanced longer. That kind of durability matters because most commuters are not driving on perfectly maintained highways. They're navigating construction zones, frost-damaged roads, and uneven surfaces every day. While BF Goodrich may not always lead the category in shortest wet braking distance, it consistently maintains structural integrity under real-world abuse, which helps preserve predictable handling over time. And now we revisit a familiar name, but this time it's the flagship engineering that makes the difference.
2. Goodyear flagship lines, when you choose the right model. Earlier, we talked about how store-exclusive or price-focused Goodyear variants can change performance expectations, but Goodyear's true flagship commuter lines tell a very different story. When you step into their higher-tier engineering, the gap becomes noticeable over time. In extended real-world tracking, Goodyear's core commuter models maintain stable wet braking performance and even tread wear well beyond 30,000 miles. Where some mid-range options begin to feel slightly vague in rain or develop minor noise growth, these flagship lines stayed composed and predictable. The difference compared to retailer-specific versions was not dramatic at first, but it became clearer as mileage accumulated. A commuter in North Carolina described upgrading from a store-exclusive Goodyear to one of the brand's premium commuter lines. He noticed stronger wet braking authority almost immediately. More importantly, that confidence remained steady after months of daily highway driving, instead of gradually fading. The key takeaway is not blind brand loyalty, it is precision in selection. Choosing the right Goodyear model, not just the brand name on the sidewall, makes all the difference for long-term commuter stability. And now we reach the brand that most drivers assume is too expensive until they do the math. 1. Michelin. Long-term confidence that justifies the price. Michelin consistently demonstrated the strongest long-term balance of wear stability, wet braking retention, and structural integrity under everyday commuter stress. While many tires feel impressive when brand new, the real difference shows up after thousands of miles of daily driving. That is where Michelin tends to separate itself. The key advantage is not just strong day one performance, it's how little that performance declines as the miles add up. At around 35,000 miles, when many mid-tier tires begin to lose some wet confidence, Michelin models often continue to deliver steady braking and composed handling. The drop-off is slower and less noticeable. A commuter in Oregon described it simply: "I stopped worrying about rain." That statement says more than any technical specification. When drivers no longer feel tension during wet highway traffic, it reflects consistent compound flexibility and effective water evacuation even as tread wears down. Michelin's higher upfront price can discourage budget-conscious buyers, but when you calculate cost per mile and factor in longer tread life and fewer early replacements due to noise or uneven wear, the long-term value becomes clearer. For daily commuters who prioritize predictable braking and stability, Michelin remains the benchmark choice.